To Thailand next. Prosecutors there are to charge the former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra for insulting the monarchy. The controversial political leader who returned to Thailand last year after 15 years in exile is being indicted over an interview he gave to a Korean newspaper 9 years ago. His lawyer said he believed the video of the alleged insult was not authentic. Mr Thaksin is the most high-profile figure to face charges under a strict law which forbids the insult of the monarchy. It has been increasingly enforced ever since the Thai military took power in 2014, and many people have been punished with harsh jail sentences. For more on this, I spoke to our Southeast Asia correspondent Jonathan Head, who's in Bangkok.
It was just a year after his sister, leading a government headed by his party, was ousted by a military coup. And in this interview, he accused the council, the Privy Council, the very senior military figures who advised the monarch, of being complicit in allowing that coup to happen, of deposing his sister. The Privy Council actually is not covered by the lese majeste law, but the law these days is interpreted in such a broad and sweeping way that prosecutors and the courts typically consider any comment at all that might reflect negatively on the monarchy. It might be tangential, it might be somebody associated with it, that could also be considered in violation of the law. It's interesting they're using it against such a high-profile figure. I mean, it really puts the monarchy centre stage still, something it's supposed not to be apolitical, it's supposed to be above politics. But you've got Thaksin Shinawatra facing charges of insulting the monarchy. You've got the party that won the election last year, the Reformist Move Forward Party, facing disillusion because of its policy of wanting to amend this very harsh law. The monarchy just sits centre stage time and again in Thai politics, despite Conservatives saying, oh, we've got to keep the monarchy out of politics. It's always there as a factor.
And just explain, Thaksin Shinawatra has come back to the country. He still has a huge political influence there, doesn't he?
He's a very outsized figure anyway. This man was, he's charismatic. He founded a new party that was the most successful election-winning machine Thailand had ever seen in the first decade of this century. He was ousted by a coup, then his sister was later. He's been whittled down by military and royalist forces, but his party is still very significant. Now, he was in exile for 15 years, but allowed to come back last year because this new reformist party I mentioned, Move Forward, was suddenly seen by the Conservative establishment as actually as much more of a threat. So they kind of came up with a grand bargain. Mr Thaksin could come back as long as he was contrite, which he was. His party, which had not done so well in the election last year, would be allowed to form a multi-party coalition, and he'll be allowed to put an ally into govern. And that's what's happened. But he's still very visible. I think a lot of the hardcore royalists don't trust him. And I think many people will see this indictment on these very serious royal charges as a kind of warning. And the case could take a very long time to go to trial, warning Mr Thaksin that while he's allowed to come back here, he must limit his ambitions. And, it's been a pattern we've seen in Thailand time and again, the courts being used to handcuff elected politicians who are too successful at the ballot box.
Jonathan Head reporting from Bangkok.